ॐ श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुकारः अन्धकारो वै ऋकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। Now, let us see where we are in the text. The Stuti of the Brahma Vidya. Stuti means praise of the Brahma Vidya is done alongside what is called phala. Phala means prayojana. Because this is one way to tempt the people. And who are the people here? Kapya, the sage who was teaching about yajna, etc., etc. So this is a way to tempt him and all the other students present to know that the yajna and the first portion of the Veda in general is not the be all and end all of life. Yajna is a metaphor for action, because action is something to which one is addicted swabhavena, by nature. As the Bhagavad Gita points out, nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. A person cannot stay without action even for a second. And so one is wedded to action, thinking of oneself, therefore identifying oneself as the agent of action, as the producer of the results of action. And this here is the problem. This is what is samsara. Because this is not correct. This is not right. And it is just wrong because one is not the producer of action. And one is not one is not the agent of action, neither is one the producer of the results. This is in fact the main message of the Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter. We have seen that in other contexts. Everybody knows this. Even people who don't have more than a smattering of the message of the Bhagavad Gita are very aware. Okay, I am not the doer. They may not understand it fully, but at least on the level of conceptually speaking, the culture is very aware. That's why if anybody says, oh, you have such a wonderful house, well, Bhagavan's grace, you cook so well, oh, this is all because of my mother and grandmother who taught me very well. You study, you are such a good student, guru's grace. This is how one deflects, taking on the role of the agent. And so that is something here. This is what is talked about in the Brahma Vidya Stuti and the Prayojana. The Stuti and the Prayojana go together because otherwise one is trapped in this in reproducing action and the results of action, supposedly. And one is trapped in this notion of bondage. And what is this notion of bondage? I am the doer, and that creates the pressure to do, and I am the producer of the result of action, and that creates disappointment because the results of action are never ever what you want. In fact, what you don't want, you get double helpings, and what you want, you don't get. This is what happened to Pujya Swamiji once when he went to Bhiksha somewhere in Delhi. And then that lady had prepared bitter gourd, Karela. And Pujya Swamiji never really cared for Karela. Not many people do. It is bitter. And then, but he ate it and praised the hostess, and praised and came away. And the next time he went to Delhi, there was Bhiksha in another house. And of course, the first lady was called because she had hosted a wonderful bhiksha. And so she must know, what does Swamiji like? And that lady said, he loves Karela. He loves bitter gourd. Just make everything, make sure you have bitter gourd. And that lady went all out. And from appetizer to dessert, of course, not dessert, but this is just for fun. From appetizer to dessert, everything was Karela. And so this is how he had to make peace with Karela, because whatever you don't want, you get in several helpings, and whatever you want, you don't get. So you grow to like what is there rather than what you produce. You grow to you grow to like whatever you have to do rather than attempt to do what you like. This is the beauty of karma yoga. And here, Kapya, the sage, is in a very interesting situation. He is very ready for this knowledge because the teacher comes in the form of the Gandharva through his wife, and he is very ready to receive this knowledge. And also, on the other hand, if he wasn't given this knowledge, then he is perpetuating samsara by not only by teaching this to others, that this is how the yajna is done, etc., etc. So these two, this kind of a very interesting juncture, this sandhi makes him a prime candidate for knowledge. And then the prayojana and the stuti come together. And what is said here, the prayojana, it said that saha abravit, the one, yo vai tat kapya, he kapya, yo vai tat sutram vidyat. If one were to know this sutra, if one were to know this sutra, and not only the sutra, remember yesterday we talked about this a lot, but just to bring us up to par, the sutra means the manifest laws of the universe. So that is what we have seen. And then Antaryami means the one who is within the laws. In fact, manifest as the laws, but in order to make this slight distinction, because the laws don't really run themselves, somebody has to run the law. And Adi Shankara in the Bhashya gives a wonderful example of the puppeteer and the puppets. So the whole Jagat is basically like Daru. Daru means wood, wooden puppets. The whole Jagat is full of puppets in the form of so many jivas going like this, dancing, in kind of broken up movements. And then trees, mountains, five elements, they are all things. And then there is and in a clever puppet show, if you go and see a children's puppet show, the string will not be seen. It will be nylon string. You can't see the string. So the string that yanks the puppet to go like this is the sutra here. But somebody should be holding the string, correct? Somebody should be holding and directing the show. That is Antaryami. You see the difference? Very slight, but absolutely important to internalize. Now, in the example, this is very clear. The sutra is the string, and here also the word sutra is used. The sutra which is holding, which is which is going from the animated the puppet, which is supposed to be animated with because of the string. That string, the puppet, the wooden puppet, is the manifest universe, things which have name and form in the manifest universe. And then we have the string, and then there is the holder of the string. Both are important. And in the example, the distinction is very clear. The string here is also as inert as the puppet, is it not? Yeah. The wielder of the string animates the puppet via the string. So the laws of the universe. But here this is the example. In the example, it's very clear. But in the Darshtanta, in what is exemplified, there is, we have to be very clear here, because it is not so simple. It does not translate very simply. Why? Because here the sutra and the between the sutra and the antaryami, between the string and the wielder of the string, the distance is not there. The distance here is only cognitive for the sake of assimilation. Because the string is non separate from the wielder, and if you're able to wrap your mind around it, then we can go one step further and say the daru puppet, the wooden puppet, is also non separate from the string and the wielder. How is that for how is that for just a to just pause and take that in? This is Vedanta, really. So on the cognitive level, you see the difference. The example helps to see the difference, because here the string and the puppet belong in a way to the same order of reality, and the puppeteer is the source of animation, himself herself animated, continues to wield the string and the power, and makes with his or her own movements, makes everything to move in certain ways. Karayati, causes everything to move. That is, that is the example. But in that which is exemplified, when we are thinking of the sutra, then what is the sutra? The sutra is Bhagavan. Okay, all right. I'll make a note. I'll jot it down. Sutra Bhagavan. Then, what is the sutradhara? Who is the sutradhara? The one who is wielding the string, Bhagavan. And then what is the thing that is dancing over here, because of whose animating powers the thing is dancing? Bhagavan. What is this name and form called puppet? Bhagavan. And this can get very confusing, but it has to be assimilated in this way alone. And so the distinction between sutra and antaryami is the same Bhagavan, seen from the standpoint of the one that is unmanifest, Hiranyagarbha Sutra. Hiranyagarbha. Here we can introduce the word, because we've had a lot of background with this now. So Hiranyagarbha in the form of and of course, the word Hiranyagarbha is sadly translated into golden egg some places, and golden goose. We are not interested in geese or eggs. So yeah, golden goose is Paramahamsa, and Hiranyagarbha is golden egg. So these are all not to be entertained, such translations. Hiranyagarbha means that invisible connecting potential force, that potential to manifest. So the sutra is there, but the sutra has to be wielded. And the wielder in the form of the Antaryami is that Bhagavan in the form of Virat. Vividham Rajate iti Virat. Vividham Rajate means shines variously, rules variously, is in so many forms without becoming any one thing. Puppeteer Bhagavan, puppet non separate from Bhagavan, string non separate from Bhagavan. What is Bhagavan? Neither puppet nor puppeteer nor wielder at any given time. It is that which is that Satchidananda, that Satchidananda, that consciousness, which is which is at once the wielder, which is at once the wielded, and there is really no such separation without becoming either. This is what has to be understood. So the distinction here is only from a standpoint. We cannot go away thinking the sutra is different from Antaryami, otherwise we'll be in great trouble. And we can't say they are one and the same also, because then also it's a problem, because then there is confusion. Everything is Bhagavan, okay, but then there is the head is Bhagavan, then the confusion in the head also we have to conclude is Bhagavan. And so therefore this has to be understood properly. And so, therefore, between the sutra and Hiranyagarbha, what is the distance? No distance. Because it's one and the same. Between the Hiranyagarbha and Virat, what is the difference? No difference. So, what is this puppet now? The puppet is name and form. And what is name and form? Bhagavan. And what is animating those names and forms? That is also Bhagavan. Bhagavan, from the standpoint of the puppet, is called Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti, which is the manifest, which is the manifest universe. Now, this will hopefully bring everything home. We can tie up this with a little gift wrap now, because it should become very clear. So, what are the puppets? What is the reality of the puppet? All the puppets in this show, the reality of the puppets is that they are equated to the manifest universe. What is this manifest universe? The manifest universe is Maya Shakti, that great creator. She is a great creatrix. She manifests everything effortlessly, as though from nothing. From that Bhagavat Shakti, from the standpoint, it is coded as feminine because it is connected with the principle of creation. And so the manifest universe is Maya Shakti. And then what? This is Vyakta, this is the manifest universe. All the manifestations, Maya Shakti. And what is Maya? Maya is defined as Yama Sa Maya, she who is in the form of knowledge. All knowledge, because any puppet that you choose to understand. Puppet means what? Five elements, okay? Those are five puppets, not ordinary. Vayu, you choose to understand, then it is all knowledge. How the wind blows is based on knowledge of those very laws, so it's not separate from the laws. And what is this wind? It's again knowledge. What does it comprise? Knowledge. In fact, other than knowledge, there is no wind. That is why Maya Shakti is no, is the Shakti of Bhagavan. In fact, Shakti that is Bhagavan in the form of the manifest universe. And then what is this string? The string is are the laws. It's the invisible sutra, the connecting, that which connects all the names and forms together. Hiranyagarbha, invisible, but there. The manifesting potential, the potential to manifest, Hiranyagarbha. Then what is Antaryami, the word that is used here in the text? The Antaryami is the one who is the wielder of the laws, who is manifest as the ruler Bhagavan. So that is called, from the standpoint of the wielder of the laws, there is a name change. What is the name change? Virat. Seen from the standpoint of the string, Hiranyagarbha. Seen from the standpoint of the puppet, Maya, Mithya. It's all the same, just from different standpoints with different definitions. We appreciate how the Hindu Dharma has a very sophisticated understanding of Ishvara. Extremely sophisticated. Really, nothing can touch this. Nothing can touch this. And then So this is what is taught. That is why the Gandharva in the form, the wife in the form of the Gandharva asks this question twice. First she says, "Do you know Sutra?" No, says Kapya. Then the second one, what does she say? Do you know Antaryami? No, says the husband Kapya. That is why it is asked twice. Because when we see this from various standpoints and from various angles, then the understanding is much deeper. The understanding of Advaita, the non duality, is much deeper. Otherwise it will be just like one Bhagavan soup. It's not able to, one is not able to understand. So this is, so then the for going further, there is Brahma Vidya, Stuti and the Prayojanam together. Yat yo vai tat sutram vidyat cha antaryaminam. So the one who knows the sutra and the antaryami, then what? That person is Brahmavit, Lokavit, Devavit, Vedavit, Bhutavit, Atmavit, and Sarvavit. So we look at these a little bit. What does this mean? Very, very nice. We just saw the definitions yesterday, but we look at understanding the meaning a little more this thing in detail. So then what does it mean? The one who understands this, Brahmavit here means Paramatmavit, the one who knows Bhagavan. Oh, I also know Bhagavan, if somebody says. And somebody who doesn't know Vedanta says, I also know Bhagavan. And you ask, where is Bhagavan? And they say, okay, in the temple. Not that kind of not that kind of a knowledge. The knowledge of Bhagavan as that I am that Paramatma, I am that no, who is I am the one who is non-separate from Paramatma, the one who knows. This is the one that is being talked about as Brahmavit, Sabrahmavit. And then Sa Lokavit means the one who knows all the lokas. So many lokas are there, so many parallel universes, possibilities of various universes, and so many galaxies, so many things. The one who knows that they are all run by one Niyanta, and that the truth of that Niyanta means the one who rules. The truth of that ruler is not separate from myself. This is Lokavit. And then what else? Then the next one is Devavit. Yaha Devamscha Agnadin Lokinah Janati. Yaha Janati, the one who knows what? They all the celestial forces. Agnadin, like Agni, etc. So, Agni, Vayu, all these things, we may call them five elements, but for us, they are manifestations of Bhagavan. They are all celestial forces which are in the form of laws. And those functionaries, the presiding deities of those laws, are manifestations of Bhagavan. And this is how we look at it. So, Devavit, the one who knows that these devas are not separate from that self effulgent self which I alone am. That's why the word deva is used, dyotanatmakatvat devah, from div, to shine. And then, so then what is the next one? uh, Vedavit, Vedamscha sarva pramana bhutan veti, the one who is the knower of the Vedas, which is in the form of so many pramanas and everything, and which is the ultimate pramana, because it tells you something that you cannot know through the means of knowledge that you operate on an everyday level. So Vedavit. Then Saha Bhutavit Bhavati, Bhutani cha Brahmadini Sutrena Dhriyamanani Tad Antargatena Antaryamina Niyamyamanani iti Veti. Bhutani means what? Brahmadini sutrena dhriyamanani. So, from starting with Brahmaji onwards, the Lord in the form of the Creator, etc., all these distinctions, the one who holds the strings, the keys, the master keys of this universe, and this universe, which is in the form of the bhutas, is held by this Antaryami, the one who knows, is called Bhutavit. And then finally, what? Saha Atmavit Bhavati. Atmavit means what? Atmanam Vetti iti Atmavit. Atma means self. So already it was said Brahmavit. Why say Atmavit? We'll see that very quickly. But here, the Atma from the standpoint of the body mind sense complex, Brahmavit from the standpoint of the whole universe, where the body mind sense complex is included, but this is Brahmavit from the standpoint of the Samashti, from the total, and Atmavit from the standpoint of the individual. That's why it is separately mentioned. So, Atmavit means who is this Atma? What is this I? I am different from all the notions that I have about myself, such as I am Karta, I am Bhokta, I am Pramata, I am the doer, I am the thinker, I am the eater, I am the drinker. I'm this, I'm that, and each time you identify as with this trich pratyaya. Trich means er at the end. Drink plus, drink plus er, drinker. So in Sanskrit, same thing happens. No plus er, no er. So er here becomes r because pramatru, pramatru in Sanskrit, that r in the trich is the meaning of er in Sanskritam. So the one who is the one who is the agent. So the agent of drinking, drinker, the agent of knowing, knower. And as we saw earlier in the class today, this identification of oneself as an agent is a very dangerous identification, and we've seen the reasons for that. But here, the ER also, the identification as doer, thinker, has another problem associated. There is another problem associated with this identification. What is that problem which is associated with this identification? Because if you are thinker, you cannot be something else. If you are this, you cannot be that. There is a sense of limitation with each ER. So teacher and and something else cannot go together. No, 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 I'm not that. I'm a teacher. I'm not this, I am that. Even though one plays many roles effortlessly in one's life, the problem of those roles which belong to the roles, the problems belong to the roles, somehow roll on to the person. And this is the danger. And so, therefore, here the Atmavit is separately mentioned because from the standpoint of the Vyashti, from the individual, Saha Atmanam cha Kartritva Bhoktritva Vishishtam. Vishishtam means qualified by Kartritva Bhoktritva Buddhi. Notions of doership, Kartritvam, notions of experiencership, notions of doership. If one has, and if one is wedded to oneself of as a doer, this is a sure recipe for guilt. This is the source of guilt. Doership is equal to guilt. Why? Kimaham sadhu na karavam, kimaham papamakaravamiti, says the Taittiriya Upanishad. Why did I do the wrong thing? Why didn't I do the right thing? This is guilt. This is totally guilt. If you are wedded to your self identity as the doer, then of course you will feel guilty. Definitely, you will feel guilty. It is a recipe for guilt. What about bhoktritvam? Bhoktritvam matlab kya? What is the meaning of bhoktritvam? Bhoktritvam means experiencership. I am the experiencer. So, doer means I am suffering from my own doings. I cannot handle my own omissions and commissions, and they keep me up at night. This is doership and the phala of doership. Then, what is experientialsership? I am a victim of other people's doings and non doings. That becomes a big issue, a prestige issue. You didn't wish me happy birthday. Okay, I forgot. All right. Yeah, but how could you forget? So the other person's omission of this missing birthday wishes in this example becomes a source of sorrow, strife, distress for oneself. So not only are you bothered by your own commissions and omissions, that should be plenty. No, no, no. And it's not enough. Why? Because now when I identify as a bhoktru, bhokta means when I identify as the one who is done in by other people's doings, then I suffer as a consequence from a permanent sense of victimization. So sad. Goes about with a big chip on the shoulder. Oh, nobody is respecting me. Nobody is good to me. And then the kartritvam gets involved. Even though I am good to them, they are not good to me. This is the what is that? This is like the knitting needles. One is kartritvam and one is bhoktritvam, and then you keep knitting it. The kartritva and bhoktritva, the needles go clack 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 clack, and then you have a shawl of samsara. That's what it is, in which one is wrapped. Well, first you think, okay, it'll keep me warm and cozy in the winter. But then as soon as you wrap it, it stifles you. And then that is what happens. And you need the guru to unravel this shawl, you know, and to just be able to see that this is not the reality. Kartritva, bhoktritva, it has some reality in the sense that it is an empirical reality that is also a kind of a reality. It is a reality that is based on one's experience. So it has some reality. Then there is another reality called a personal reality. This is where actually the kartritva bhoktritva buddhi belongs. One's own personal projection. I'm as good as what I do, and I'm as good as done in by other people's doings. This is what is called pratibhasika, a personal subjective reality. And then we have the empirical reality where things are done, bills are paid, and one is, of course, there is doing in the so how do you distinguish between the two? The vyavaharika satta, the empirical reality, yes, there is doing, there is consequences of doing. This is objective. Why me? This is subjective. I am the doer, subjective. I am done in, subjective. I am done in, pratibhasika. Yes, there are consequences for action, vyavaharika. That is the law. Very, very important to distinguish. So Saha Atmavit means the one who is endowed with this wrong identification of oneself as Karta Bhokta, qualified by this wrong, equipped Vishishtam, equipped with this wrong identification, the one who goes about the world, goes about one's day in the world, leading to sorrow and fear. But the one who is Atmavit is Tena eva Antaryamina niyamyamanam veti. So who is this Karta? Who is this Bhokta? The one who is pervaded by this Antaryami. Antaryami is Karta. Antaryami is Bhokta. I am not the Karta. This is what the one who understands. That my own subjective reality also is pervaded by Bhagavan. This is what we call psychology. This is what is the branch of knowledge called psychology. That is such a blessing, wonderful, because here is where all the ways of the mind, even the most subjective ways, are made into an objective fact. Borderline personality disorder means it's not alone one person having it. If it's just one person having it, then it's not called a disorder. A disorder means it's a phenomenon. Given this background, certain people can develop this narcissistic personality. That also, given certain background, this is what happens. One grows up with the hubris of thinking that one is the best, no matter what. One is flawless, and like this, dejection, despair, sorrow, anger, they don't belong to you. You see, this is the beauty of this knowledge. They don't belong to you. They are merely manifestations of the order, the vast order of the mind, the sutra, who is present in the form of the Antaryami, the one who wields the sutra. And so many things come into play. The karma comes into play, and socialization comes into play. So many things come into play. And so the neglected child can have, after growing up, certain avoidant issues, anger issues, confrontation issues, so many things. This is all so fascinating. So the emotions that alienate one from everybody are actually, they don't belong to you. They are the order of the mind. The mind itself is a creation, is a manifestation. Mind itself is there, and the mind is run if the mind runs in certain ways, that is also not a surprise. And if the mind goes too much this way, it can be corrected. And the mind, has a synergy with the moon. Therefore, the moon becomes the adhishthana devata of the mind. Amazing. This is just so beautiful. And so, therefore, the one who knows all this is called Atmavit. And so, finally, what's the last word? Sarvavit. Sarvam cha jagat tatha bhutam iti veti. The one who knows the whole jagat to be tatha bhutam means exactly as we have been describing the sutra and the sutradhara, the antaryami, etc. Then very, very beautiful, very, very beautiful. And so then what happened? Kapya and his students were extremely, Adi Shankara gives a little bit of a connecting bhashya, because the text immediately goes to back to Uddalaka. So little bit of connection is needed, and Adi Shankara supplies it by saying that they were so happy, they were pralubdha. And yesterday I said this is the appetizer, so they were very tempted. And then Yagyavalkya, as the narrator, comes back and he says what? That I have gained this knowledge of the sutra and the Antaryami from this Gandharva. And so, through being instructed, I have understood this. Tachet, Tachet Yagyavalkya Sutram Tam Cha Antaryaminam Vidwan Chet. Then you please tell what you know. Say what you know. Do you know this? I had some special instruction. Such a wonderful thing happened. Tachetvam Yagyavalkya. Sutram. So, do you know this? Tachet. So, supposing you know this, then well and good. But supposing you don't know this, Sutram avidvamstvam. If you are an avidwan, you don't know this. Cha antaryaminam. Then, if you don't know this, Brahma Gavihi Udajase Murdhate Vipatishyati iti. So, this is a little bit of a rude awakening, because here we are all swimming in the knowledge of oneness, and we are enjoying the vision of the sutra and the Antaryami from Bhagavan from two standpoints, the unmanifest and the manifest. So nicely we are doing this. and back to a jolt in the present. So first, let me just give the meaning of this sentence, and then we look at the words individually. So first, Yagyamalkya, we are coming back to the rude awakening that okay, this is now Yagyamalkya, this is now Uddalaka talking. And what does Uddalaka say? See, they are all contemporaries. Here, nobody is Guru Shishya. As I told you, it is a Vada, which later turns into Samvada as Uddalaka is impressed with Yagyavalkya's knowledge, as we'll see later. So, here, what is happening is that Uddalaka is testing him. And he says that, if you know this, tell. And you, my dear fellow, are a very arrogant man. I am a little, I'm very much convinced that you are an arrogant man. Why? Why are you an arrogant man? Because look at what you did in the last dialogue, in the Gargi Brahmana or somewhere, I forgot, or in the Kahola Brahmana. What he does, Yagyavalkya does, is he drives away the cows, cattle, even before the debate. Not very rude. It's like in now Olympics are going on. It's like they going away with the gold medal before the skating competition. Before the competition, you go and grab the gold medal and say, no, 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 I have to put it for safekeeping. Afterwards, I have some people here who can carry it away for me. And so you order the gold medal to be carried away even before you have participated. What arrogance! And this is what he remembers of Yagyavalkya. And he says, look, if you, without knowing this, you drive away the cows, you will incur a curse. A curse? Yeah, from me. And what is this curse? May your head fall off. May your head fall off. Here, a small note, because when I first started to study this portion of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, I used to think, why? I mean, these are all people who know Vedanta. Why such violent metaphors? Because Yagyavalkya himself says to Gargi, because Gargi keeps asking so many questions, he says, Gargi, I have answered all your questions. If you ask one more question, your head is going to fall off. And I thought, how violent. And again, here we encounter this kind of a thing. This has to be taken from the standpoint of a what's the word for it, some kind of a custom in those days, some kind of a custom where where the person was told that empty brandishment of some kind of a knowledge that one doesn't have will lead to unsavory consequences, that one is accountable for what one says. That's all one has to take it. Don't get all caught up with this curse. And this is the so from this I understood that the wrong question to ask is, why is Uddalaka, who is so wonderful and who is such a great teacher of Vedanta, who knows this, why is he talking in these terms? That's not the question to ask. Question to how we have to understand it is to say that this was a kind of a custom when people were quizzing one another, when one was submitting to a vada or a particular test, and when one was being tested, to take this test seriously and to know that there would be some kind of consequences if the wrong this was given, if the wrong answer knowingly was given. And so there would be consequences. So some kind of a lie detector test this would be. So if the head falls off, that means some kind of an ancient lie detector test. So that's how we have to take it. If the head falls off, that means you did not know, and you were just you were just puffing yourself up. So this is what we have to look at. So let us look at the words here. Then yeah. So sutram tam, and what is this sutram? And antaryaminam, the sutra, and in the form of the antaryami, avidwan chet. If you do not know this, avidwan means abrahmavit. If you don't know Bhagavan, if you're not the knower of Brahman, abrahmavit san, yadi brahmagavihi udajase. Gavihi, cows. Brahmagavihi Brahmavidam what gavah so brahmavidam gavah, that is what it is. So brahmavidam means brahmavidam means the knower of Brahman. So the cows belong to the knower of Brahman. That's what is the prize of this debate, of this demonstration of one's knowledge in this scenario. So the cows belong to the knower of Brahman, and if you are not the knower of Brahman, if you are Abrahmavit son, if you are not the knower of Brahman and you wrongly take away udajase, aj is the dhatu, ajase plus this ut ajase, and ajase means move away, drive away. If you drive away the cows, if you take away what does not belong to you, naturally there will be consequences. So, what do you mean the cows belonging to the knower of Brahman? Because the price was set that this, if one demonstrates that one is the knower of Brahman, this many cows given by the king will be for the knower of Brahman. Here there is a pun on the word cow, because this is also something I used to wonder about. Why cow? And why are they being given cows? There is a word play on the word go. Go means cow, go also means words. In fact, the word Govinda, Gobhihi Vindate iti Govinda. So the one who is known through words, the name of the Lord is Govinda, the one who is known through words. This is how we know. This is the words of the Veda, the one who is known through Shabda Pramana, Govinda. So then, so Brahmagavihi means the one who is, the word play on the word go here means the one who has the words, which are the one who is one with the words that are that reveal Brahman. How beautiful this is. Very, very nice. And then what happens? Anyayena yad udajase. If you take it wrongly, if you take it if you defraud people, tataha machapa dagdhasya. So your head will burn off. And by the tapa of my shapa, what will happen? Shirahate vispashtam patishyati. Vipatishyati. Vipatishyati. The V here means definitely. Vispashtam specifically, the head will fall off. And then what happens? Veda aham Gautama iti. The Yagyavalkya replies, I know this. Hey, tat sutram tam antaryaminam cha. Veda aham. I know this. Which sutra? Yat Gandharva, Yat Gandharva Tubhyam Uktavan. That which the Gandharva taught you, that sutra, and the Antaryami which you understood from this Gandharva. I know. I know this, says Yajnavalkya. And then, who is this Gautama? Gautama is a name of Uddalaka. And then, Eva Mukte Pratyaha Gautama. Then Gautama, the Uddalaka replies, what? Yah kaschit prakritaha idam. Yah kaschit idam bruyat Veda Veda iti. Yatha ved tatha bruhi iti. So somebody can say, I know, Veda Veda iti. Anybody can say, I know. How can they say that? Without knowing, they can say, I know iti. They can keep on showing off their knowledge. I know this. And anybody can say this. And, what is that? Atmashlaghena, applauding oneself, lauding oneself, blowing one's own trumpet. Any murkha, anyone can say, any foolish person who is blowing one's own trumpet, who is very arrogant, can say, I know. What is the use of this kind of a bluster? Show it through words, show it through action. Show it. Don't just say, I know, I know. Demonstrate it. Demonstrate how you know, what you know. Demonstrate all this. I'm not going to believe that you know, because this is, after all, special knowledge that was gained from the not Yaksha, what is it? Gandharva. Special knowledge gained from the Gandharva. and and if you just say kim tena garjitena karyena, what is the use of roaring around like a lion, and there is nothing there, and then, like a like an old lion that is unable to hunt for prey. Darshaya, show this. Yatha vetha tatha bruhi. As you know, you show it. Then only I'm going to believe you. And if you're unable to do this, that means you don't know. And if you don't know, your ignorance will be revealed to everybody in the assembly. Why? Because just a small detail of your head falling off. This is what will happen. And then, Sahovacha. Then Yagyavalkya replies. Very beautiful. This is very, very nice. Vayurvai Gautama Tatsutram Vayuna Vai Gautama Sutrena Ayancha Lokah Parascha Lokah Sarvani Cha Bhutani Sandribdhani Bhavanti. तस्माद्वै गौतम पुरुषं प्रेतम् आहुः व्यस्रंस व्यस्रंसित व्यस्रंसिष शित व्यस्रंसिषता ताः अङ्गानि इति वायुना हि गौतम सूत्रेण संदृग्धानि भवन्ति इति एवम् एव एतद्याज्ञवल्क्य अंतर्यामिणं ब्रूहि इति. Very beautiful. So he takes something, and what an example, and what a way to start talking about what he knows. This is the greatness of Yagyavalkya. It's just so amazing. He starts with Vayu, the wind, air, the principle of air. Why? Because it is sarvavyapi, it is everywhere. And then the last part of the word everywhere, you see, air is included. Everywhere. You see, air is there. So, air is that which is everywhere. Here there is air, there is air. Where is air not? And so, therefore, this is what is sarvavyapi. It is easily available to the sense of touch. Put your hand under the tap and then go like this, and then that coolness is Vayu. And then you don't even, if you say, oh, I don't want to do all that, doesn't matter. Just sit, breathe. Vayu, intimately experienced as prana. Vayu is everywhere. And Vayu is something that it is non-negatable in the sense of the Vyavaharikataya. From the standpoint of the Vyavaharika Satta, non-negatable. It is very much here. It is there. And then Vayu is there. And then what else? And then this Vayu is intimately known to us. Vayu is air. Vayu is atmosphere. Vayu is that which keeps everything alive. Vayu is the one that comes in the form of the what is that? The breathing, prana. Vayu is that which animates the waves in the ocean. So many things. Vayu is everywhere. And so he takes this because it is so easily discernible by one and all. And there is no place that Vayu is not. And so it becomes a very fitting example to begin with, because Brahman, this Antaryami, this sutra from various standpoints, this Bhagavan we have been talking about, is everywhere, is everything, is it's just really something so wonderful. And so, Vayuhu Vai. Why means, this prasiddha. It is very much here. This Vayu, by which the world of this Vayu is very close to Hiranyagarbha, to illustrate Hiranyagarbha, because invisibly it connects everything. It connects the weather patterns to your own breathing, from your own breathing, from everything. Just so all pervasive. And so this sutra is pervaded as, Vayu is like this sutra, this world of Hiranyagarbha, which is pervaded like how the earth is pervaded by water. Similarly, Vayu pervades the whole universe. And it can only be known, this Vayu can be known through this kind of an instruction. Through Shravanam alone, this Vayu is understood, is known. This is Adi Shankara adds this very, very nice. In the Bhashya, this is added. It is not there in the text, but in the Bhashya it is there. That this can be known only through Agama, through listening, and has to be described and received. This is why this is why Yagyavalkya answers by saying Vayu is the sutra, nothing else. Very subtle but everywhere. Subtle entity which supports the earth and which also supports the subtle body. Subtle body with all its 17 constituents is that which is Vayu. Vayu is part of that. Why? Because the five elements is part of the subtle body, the subtle elements. And then what else do we have? Five sense organs. And then one more five. Five organs of action. Manaha, buddhi. Different reckonings are there. So these 17 constituents. And what is this, in which the past actions, the karma and the samskaras are also there, which is both collective. Vyashti, from the standpoint of samashti and vyashti, both we can understand this Vayu. And just fascinating, just so beautiful. So samashti Vayu, the one that is bringing out a tsunami. And then vyashti means what? From the standpoint of the vyashti, it turns into karma phala for those people that are affected by that tsunami. Amazing, really amazing. Same one thing. And so like this, the whole things, we have, so individually it supports the body, it supports the mind. In fact, when there is some kind of a derangement, when somebody is acting funny, it's because there is, we say in Ayurveda, vata. The vata has got deranged. Vata is the air principle, same Vayu. So the Vayu governs the mind, and so immediately if they are acting, so if maybe there is some suffocation, so a person who has fainted, you loosen the clothes, you give them fresh air, water, something like this, and then they become okay immediately. So then the Vayu controls the mind in a way. And then what else? Then the whose Vayu also has certain external forms like the waves of the ocean, etc., etc. And from that standpoint, there are 49 forms that are recognized in the form of 49 maruts. Marut here means Vayu, and so there are 49 manifestations of this Vayu, waves, tsunami, all these things. Mm. What is that called? Tornado, etc., etc. And this is like the sutra, and this which strings this life and the next life together. It's just so amazing. And the Vayu is the sutra that supports everything. And the Vayu also supports the physical body. How does it support the physical body? Because there is Vayu in the body. Not only prana, but even between the joints. So when you don't move a joint and then suddenly you get out of bed, click, click, click sound comes. That is why you talking. That is why you saying, hello, I am here in the form of the one that is animating these joints. Those spaces between the joints, if they collapse, or if there is if they are affected, then you get all kinds of muscle pains, joint aches, and all these things. Arthritis is a Vayu disorder, is recognized in Ayurveda as a Vayu disorder. It's just so amazing, really amazing. So, in the body itself, it is so the Vayu talks, and and sometimes in the stomach, Vayu makes sounds, kuru kuru kuru, you hear all these sounds and all these things. And so, Vayu is there, of course, in the lungs. When you breathe in, it intimately becomes prana prana, and then the same vayu you breathe out, it is now, all the toxins are taken away, and so this vayu supports, sustains the human body. And then what does he say? He says something very interesting. Let us look at the text. Sandrubdhani tasmad vai gautama purusham pretam ahuhu. So pretam purusham. So when the person goes away, very interesting. Goes away means what? So in gatau. So this dhatu called in, e, means to go away. You know, go away. All right, and then that simply to go away means we'll come back tomorrow. But then you add pra to this e, then when prakarshena eti, goes away means finally goes away without coming back. Without goes away without coming back. That is the so preta means, prakarshena itaha, not coming back, at least not in this particular form. And praiti, not coming back in this particular form. Preta, gone, means dead. And then, so then when the person dies, what do they say? That the limbs have become loose. They say, visramsa manaha. Visramsamanani angani iti ahuhu. They say, who says? The people gathered around the dear departed person, the newly departed person. The people who are gathered around, relatives, etc., say, what do they say? They say that they have gone. They are gone. This person has gone. Why? Because they pick up the hand, and the hand just falls back down. They pick up the leg of the duly departed person, and the leg also falls to the ground. And then they try to hold the face, the head intact, and the head rolls off to one side. The limbs are as though loosened. The limbs have slipped away, loosened. How? Like even the necklace with the string that has been cut is loosened. The pearls and the beads just scatter. They just scatter here and there, and they just, there is no other way for this to there to be, because then the importance of the string is very, very clearly seen as the beads get loosened, and then they just scatter all over the room, all over the floor. So too a dead person's limb are scattered. There is nothing that is holding them together. Why? The Vayu in the form of the prana has departed, has bid goodbye. And then Adi Shankara cleverly, to make this point very clear, integrates this Vayu along with along with so many things, along with the human body mind sense complex, and how Vayu, from the standpoint of the Devata, in the form of that which is animating the body, is there. And then which supports the human body is there. Then from the standpoint of the law of karma, which says time is up for this person and the Vayu is going to depart for this person, that is also talked about. And then finally, from the standpoint of that Bhagavan who wields and operates the laws of karma, etc., that this Vayu is what is that is accountable to, that is also talked about. And here Vayu is talked about as an animated form of that which is the sutra, and that which is the Antaryami. Amazing, really amazing. So Vayu becomes the stand in for that, because everything is one and the same. And so he uses Vayu as a very a wonderful example here. Uh, so powerful, very powerful example, very easy to assimilate. And then he says that principle is this sutra. The principle of Vayu is the sutra. And then why? Because through this sutra, which is Vayu, which is now manifest as Vayu, this life and the next life, all the beings are strung together, because this sutra supports everything. That's why, hey Gautama, pretam purusham ahuhu. When the man dies, when the person dies away, what do they say? The limbs have been loosened. The person's limbs have been loosened. Why? Just like the beads which are strung together are scattered when the thread is gone. Similarly, Vayu is this thread. And if the limbs of the human being, if we can visualize, are strung on the Vayu, like the gems or beads on the threads, it is naturally they will be loosened when the Vayu departs. And so, therefore, they are held together, O Gautama, by this sutra, which is Vayu. Very, very nice. So beautiful. And, this is something uh, very, we have to understand this properly. What is this, how this is talked about? Very interesting. Because, we have three standpoints from which we understand any particular thing. We have three specific standpoints. One is from the standpoint of what is called the adhibhautika, bhutanam adhikritya tishtati iti adhibhautikam. Adhibhautika means the that which is centered on the surrounding elements. So here is Vayu as an element, as a universal element that is universally present. And then take a deep breath now. No need to hold it, but just breathe deeply. What happened to this Vayu which was around you and surrounding you has now suddenly become Prana. That Vayu now has a new avatara, a new name, but the same Vayu. So Prana means which is I experience intimately, that which is the animating force of this body mind complex. So that Vayu has a new name, Prana. And Prana from the standpoint of Adhyatmika. Atmanam adhikritya tishtati iti Adhyatmika. Atmanam adhikritya tishtati. So that which is centered on the Atma. Atma here, don't think of Satchidananda Atma. Atma here means oneself. One's body from the standpoint of the body mind sense complex. So that which is centered on this body mind sense complex, so that Vayu has a new name. It is called Prana. That is why the same Vayu can be invoked in two different ways. Namaste Vayo. We are seeing this in the Taittiriya Bhashya classes. We saw this. Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. Hey Vayo, oh Vayu, Namahate. I bow to you. I salute you. Why? You are verily I declare you to be verily the manifestation of Bhagavan, because you are everywhere and I can sense you. So this is from the Adi Bhautika, from the standpoint of that which is centered on one's own surroundings, from the elements. Vayu is an important element that sustains the universe. And then that same Vayu, when it goes in the lungs, in the body, or when it's sensed between the joints or in the stomach or wherever, that same Vayu is seen from, is very, very nice, because that is now known as prana. Prana means what? So that which sustains life. And then there is another Vedic statement, prano vai ishvaraha. That prana is what? Ishvara. So this is, so you see, that which is Adi Bhautika is nothing but Adi Adhyatmika. Same thing, there is a connection between Adi Bhautika and Adhyatmika. Sutra. Here, Vayu as Sutra. Vayu Prana. Both Brahman, really. Both Ishvara. This is Sutra. Then what? Then we have one more standpoint, Adi Daivikam. Adi Daivikam, Devam Adhikritya Tishtati. The one that is centered on that which is the force of it all, the force which is beyond all forces. Here, this is Antaryami, Ishvara in the form of that. It's all Ishvara. Ishvara in the form of that who wields the law called Vayu, who connects, who wields the connection between the law and the one who is the recipient of the law. The Jiva who is the recipient of the law in the form of the prana. This is so fascinating. So there is a connection. It's not, because breathing is an involuntary action, okay? Otherwise, nobody will get up after going to sleep if you were to breathe consciously. So breathing happens. And then how does it happen? It happens. Air is there. Air happens, breathing happens. And then what is the law that connects the outside air to this particular, the samashti vayu, the connection of this samashti vayu to this vyashti entity who is doing this individual who is doing the this breathing, the karta of this breathing. Who is the one? How? What is the connection? And that law and the wielder of that law, Bhagavan here. Because when does the air go? Because if the Vayu were to left to itself, it might have a mind of its own, and it may say, well, why should I keep going into this fellow as prana? What has this person achieved? 80 years, wasted life, did not even go to one Vedanta class, did not do anything even to help the community. Forget Vedanta, did not do any seva, did not do any karma yoga, did not help anybody with their resources. And resources doesn't just mean money. We did not have a kind thing to say to anybody, did not have anything to say, not a kind word, not a compassionate glance, nothing. Why should I go into this fellow's lungs? I don't want to. And another time, why you can think this person is frying their lungs by being a chain smoker. Why should I go and grace those lungs full of pollution? I don't like to go there. Oh, not nice. I will become polluted. I'm not going in. I'm just coming out. Or having gone in, I'm not going to come out. Well, why should I come out? Vayu doesn't think like that. Why? Adhidaivika. Antaryami is there, the wielder of the law. The law is Vayu, the sutra is Vayu. This is again Bhagavan in the form of Vayu. And that Vayu is gracing the individual body, mind, sense complex. That is the law. But then the wielder of the law decides when the Vayu is going to go in, when it is going to come out. That's why you don't know. When you have a choking sensation, Bhagavan knows. There is a choking sensation, there is a little deprivation of Vayu. And when that deprivation of Vayu becomes too much, then there is oxygen deprivation. Brain death occurs. This is what the doctor says. The doctors say there is brain death. Nothing in the body can survive without Vayu. Amazing. And but the Vayu itself, even though it is the string, it is the sutra, it is wielded by that force which is Bhagavan. It's just so lovely. More we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you very much.